Movie was on Tuesday, and it went way better than I was expecting. There was a lot of people there. I think it definitely capped over 200, and I mean, from what I can understand, the movie was very well received. I mean, the message was very clear, and the whole point of the documentary is to kind of ask that question of, or answer that question of, what is it that makes your city worth living in? And there's a lot of historic buildings here in Hot Springs that are showcased in the movie, including the former Majestic Hotel. That's the main subject of the film, but it also sheds light on some of the other next Majestics that might be in town, including the Arlington, which is the sister hotel, the Medical Arts Building, although that is now being salvaged and saved by the Patels, which I'm very, very excited about. But the Army-Navy Hospital is probably the top on our list right now because that is currently abandoned and could easily fall into the same traps that the Majestic did. So the release of this documentary, even though the events take place from 2014 to about 2016, they're very relevant to today because of what continues to happen in this town with the historic buildings. AbandonedAtlas.com works to help protect these historic icons and also to help connect developers to them, because there might be somebody who believes in Hot Springs or believes in what's going on here and they just don't know, or any other town in either Oklahoma, Kansas, which are other states that we tap into. So our idea is to shed light on abandoned, crumbling buildings, or potentially crumbling buildings, at risk, really. And we just want to make sure that every opportunity or every possible avenue has been gone through before demolition occurs. I knew about the hotel a few years before it caught on fire, absolutely. That was one of my draws to Hot Springs, was because of that hotel. I mean, when you walked in, it was like everything... When you walked into that hotel, it was like everybody just got up and left. It was, there were chandeliers, there were teacups, silverware, Persian rugs, carpets, beds, everything in that hotel. It looked like you were walking into the Arlington, but it had been shut down for 10 years. It was very crazy how much was left behind, and that was my initial draw to the hotel. And I knew that I wanted to do something a little bit more than just a blog post. But once the fire happened, I knew I wanted to make at least a 10-minute documentary that showcased its history. And once I found Brenda Brandenburg and some of the other people who were like, let's save the rest of the hotel from destruction, that's when I knew that I had a documentary on my hands and wanted to pursue that story. And one of the misconceptions in town was that the Majestic was completely destroyed by the fire, which it was not. I know, a lot of people called us crazy for trying to save a burnt-down building, but there was an entire 3 other buildings that were unaffected by the fire. And so, I still firmly believe that the Majestic could have been brought back to life had the right developer been approved. And there were 3 developers that were willing to buy the building from the city after they bought it from Hasselblad. And it just seemed like those were ignored. And so the documentary definitely touches on those points and shed some light on some of the inner workings of behind the scenes of what happened when we were trying to save at least the red brick. The Lanai Towers were, take them or leave them, but the red brick was probably the most iconic structure, and since it was concrete, it definitely could have been saved, and it's a shame that it had to come down.